Are you back? Are you there? Are you there? Oh, yeah. Okay, we're back together again. Back together again. De nuevo juntos. We are back together again. Again. And let me talk about again, okay? But first over here. Again, again, again. Otra vez, again. Antiguamente en inglés se decía again. Pero hoy en día, desde hace 100 años, se dice again. We're back together again. Y en cualquier caso, creo que deberías llamarles. In any case, I think you should call them. I know, maybe it's too late. Maybe it's too late. It's too late, baby. Yeah. It's too late. Es demasiado tarde. Ya es tarde. Aquí diría es probablemente ya es tarde. En inglés se dice es demasiado tarde. It's too late. Se ha apagado la llama entre nosotros. The flame has gone out. Cuando las llamas se apagan por sí solos, they go out. Cuando lo apagas tú, si soplando, you blow out the flame. Okay? Si es con extintor, you put out. Put out the flame. Si hay un incendio aquí, I put out the fire. To put out the fire. Ahora, si es una llamita de vela on a candle, I blow out the fire, the flame. The fire, no. If you have a candle is una vela. A candle is made of wax. Wax. Cera. Have you ever been to the wax museum in this city? Is there a wax museum in Barcelona? Wax. A candle is made of wax. And on the top of the candle, there's a wick. A wick. W-I-C-K. Como pick, con W, wick. Eso es mecha. Ahora, si es una bomba, it's not a wick. It's a fuse. Como fusible, fuse. Escrito fuse. But here's a wick, and you light it with a match. You strike. You open the matches, you strike the match. And before it burns your fingers, you light the candle, or you light the wick on the candle, and then you have a flame on the candle. And there are two ways of extinguishing, no, not really. Well, there are two immediate ways of extinguishing the flame. The most common and most efficient way is to blow it out. Blow it out. Okay. And the candle and the flame goes out. Si apagas la vela se apaga. Si la apagas soplando. Escuchad el inglés, como lo uso. If you blow out the candle, or you blow out the flame, la llama, the flame goes out. If you hold the candle up into the wind blows out the candle, and the candle goes out. Or you can put out the candle. And how can you put out the candle? Moisten. Hay una T muda en medio. Moisten is humedecer. Moisten your fingers, like that, like this. Can you see me? I'm moistening my fingers on my tongue. I touch my fingers with my tongue, moisten the tips, las yemas, of my fingers, and you can put out the flame this way. I've done it a few times in my life, but I don't necessarily recommend it because it's not the most efficient way to blow out or to put out a candle. You can put it out with your fingers, you can blow it out. Okay, with a candle. Now, en cualquier caso, creo que deberías llamarles. In any case, in any event, hay dos formas para decir en cualquier caso, en todo caso. In any event, literalmente en cualquier evento, pero se usa bastante. In any event, in any case, creo que deberías, I think you should call them. Really. Come on. You received 2 proposals. You received a proposal from Pérez and Asociados, and you received a proposal from Gutiérrez y Asociados. Okay. One proposal was 100,000 euros, and the other was 90,000 euros, and you accepted Pérez and Asociados. Perez and Associates. And so you call them and said, Pepe Perez, bueno, Jose Perez, por favor. And they said, excuse me, you call and say, I would like to speak to Jose Perez, por favor. And then the telephonist put you through to Jose Perez. Say, Pepe, good news. We have decided to award you the contract. To award significa adjudicar, un contrato en este caso. We have decided to award you the contract. Congratulations. Now, tomorrow at 9 a.m., I need you in my office because we had a lot of things we need to talk about. This project is perhaps the most important for us this year. And so, Pepe, we need to reach certain agreements on other points outside of the contract that could be instrumental in the success. Okay, thanks. Okay. And then my secretary says, but did you call Gutierrez? I said, no, I haven't. Poor Gutierrez y Asociados. They lost the bid. The bid es el concurso, la licitación. They lost the bid. En todo caso, creo que debería usted llamarles. In any case, I think you should call them. You think I should? Yeah, I think you should call them. I don't like giving bad news. They lost the bid. Okay? Yes, they lost the bid, but their price was lower than Perez. Yes, I know, but I chose Perez because I know their quality and their reliability. We've worked with Perez before. We've never worked with Gutierrez. Yes, sir, but Gutierrez is a very good firm. I think you should call him in any case. All right. Gutierrez. Okay, so I call them. Creo que usted debería llamar. I think you should call. I think you ought to call him. I think you ought to call him. I think you ought to call him. Escucha. Estoy diciendo, creo que deberías llamarle a nuestro amigo Gutierrez. Creo que debería usted llamarle. Voy a decirlo de dos formas. I think you should call him. I think you should call him. Salto por completo la H aspirada de him y enlazo la I latina con la L de call. I think you should call him. Or, ahora escuchad bien, a ver si entendéis. I think you ought to call him. I think you ought to call him. I think you ought to call him. I think you ought to. ¿Qué es yada? Separemos las cosas. I think you ought to call him. Ought, O-U-G-H-T. The grammar books talk about it, but teachers usually forget about it when they teach because it's much easier to teach should. It's much easier for the teacher to teach, and it's much easier for the student to assimilate. However, 50% of the time, you're going to hear ought to in the real world. So I might as well, más vale que te lo enseñe, porque se va a oír por ahí. And you're not going to recognize it. Because if we say, I think you ought to call him, creo que usted debería llamarle. Really, the pronunciation, I think you oughta, you ought to, así se dice. I think you ought to call him. Really, I think you ought to call him. You're making a mistake if you don't call him. You should call him. You ought to call him out of simple courtesy to tell him you're sorry, but they lost the contract. Okay? It's a question of common courtesy. Decimos muchas veces cortesía común, cortesía simple. Out of common courtesy, por cortesía, por pura cortesía, decimos curiosamente out of al principio. Saliendo de la cortesía. Out of common courtesy, out of courtesy, you ought to call them, okay? Mi discurso salió muy bien. My speech was not bad, eh? People paid attention, yeah. The other day, last Friday, I gave a speech. I gave a speech in front of 250 people in the Palace of Congresses, the Convention Palace. And the speech lasted an hour. The speech lasted Duró. The speech lasted an hour, and it seems that the people enjoyed it. Yes. Mi discurso fue un éxito. My speech was a success. Ahora, tu discurso, lo oí. I heard your speech. I was present. I attended the symposium, and I heard your speech. Y tu discurso causó el efecto contrario. Your speech caused the opposite effect. You wanted people to take action and to make a decision that's favorable to your project, but to tell you the truth. Pero con toda sinceridad, a decir verdad, to tell you the truth, I think your speech caused the opposite effect. You talked too much about the risks involved and not enough about the benefits and for the public. You talked too much about the risks and too little about the benefits. And so I think people are a bit reluctant to invest in your project after your speech. Tu discurso causó el efecto contrario. Your speech caused the opposite effect. Opposite is lo opuesto, lo contrario. Okay? Black is the opposite of white. Tall is the opposite of short. Big is the opposite of small. Easy is the opposite of hard or difficult. Thin is the opposite of thick. Fat is the opposite of slim. Slim is esbelto. O quizás skinny sería mejor. Fat is gordo. What's the opposite of fat? Flaco? If flaco is the opposite of gordo, then skinny is the opposite of fat. Okay, skinny is flaco. People prefer not to be skinny. Skinny is a negative word more than a positive. Of course, fat is a negative word too. Nobody wants to be fat, but nobody wants to be skinny. People want to be slim. Slim. S-L-I-M is esbelto. Thin is delgado. And that is a neutral word, not necessarily positive. It's not negative. Yes, Pepe Pérez, no le conoces. Es un hombre delgado. It's a thin person. That's not negative. But much more positive is slim. Everybody wants to be slim. Okay? So, the opposite of fat is skinny or slim. Okay? And the opposite of black is white. The opposite of smooth is rough. The surface, la superficie, the surface of this paper is smooth. Smooth. My hair, it's smooth. Tengo el pelo liso. I have straight hair, and it's smooth. It's not bad. Now, this is a bit rough because it's been several hours since I shaved. So my whiskers, my beard is barba, pero ya cuando te dejas la barba, cuando dejas la barba, cuando dices pinche papá, that's whiskers. All right, it's a bit rough now. I need to shave. Maybe. If I record more programs, I'll shave. It's a bit rough. Rough is áspero, rugoso. The surface of this table is a bit rough. It's not smooth. Smooth. Also the water. You go to a lake or to the sea. Hay aguas turbulentas. Hay agua en calma. Mar en calma. Mar brava or mar bravo. It's rough. Great captains were never made of smooth seas, calm seas. Good captains, buenos capitanes de mar, are always made from rough seas, not smooth. Okay, smooth. So the opposite of rough is smooth. The opposite of hard is soft. Duro, mullido, blando, suave. The opposite of hard is soft. I have a soft voice. I have a hard, rough voice, okay? So, mi discurso causó el efecto contrario. My speech caused the opposite effect. Al contrario, creo que conseguiste lo que querías. On the contrary. Hay dos palabras en inglés para contrario. Opposite and contrary. Okay? Lo contrario de blanco es negro. The opposite of black, or the opposite of white, is black. But on the contrary, the opposite of white is red. No, I don't agree. Okay? On the contrary is la expresión al contrario. Okay? Al contrario, I think you achieved. On the contrary, I think you achieved exactly what you wanted. I think everybody was excited about your speech. I think at the end of the speech, everybody was convinced that your idea is perfect for the future. And I think you will see in the next 2 or 3 weeks, en las semanas venideras, in the coming weeks, you'll see that your speech was very successful and people will begin to invest money in your project. You need investors. Don't worry. The speech was outstanding in my opinion. Bueno, yo creo que causó un efecto contrario. I think it caused the opposite effect. The opposite effect. On the contrary, it's exactly what you needed to say, and I think people are enthusiastic about the potential of your business plan. Give them a week or two. Give them a week or two, and you'll see that they will start making contact with you or with your organization and ask about the possibilities for investment. Me, yes, me, myself, I'm going to give you right now 10,000 euros, and I want at least 5% of the business. Okay? So, al contrario, on the contrary, el partido fue cancelado al final. The game was canceled. The game was called off. Yes, debido al tiempo atmosférico. The game was called off because of the weather. The weather was bad. There are certain sports that can be played in the rain, and certain sports can't be played in the rain. Tennis is a sport in which the match is called off or postponed if the weather is bad, if it starts raining. Okay? You can't play tennis in the rain because you need to grip. To grip is asir. You need to grip the tennis racket in a certain way. And if it's wet, if the grip is wet, el verbo to grip y la parte de cuero o elástico is the grip. When you play golf, yeah. One of the most important elements of golf is the grip. If you want to learn how to play golf, the first thing your instructor is going to teach you is the grip, where to put your hands on the grip. Entonces, usando la palabra como sustantivo y como verbo, y valga la redundancia, asir el asidero o algo, to grip the grip. And so, when it rains in tennis, you can't play because you can't hold the tennis racket, and it changes the nature of the game. It changes. Tercera persona singular. Ello cambia. Cambia la naturaleza del juego de tenis. It changes the nature of the game, and it's not recommendable, and it doesn't tell you who's the best player when it's raining. So you remember, especially in Wimbledon, where the courts are grass. Court es una pista, además de la corte. The Supreme Court, la Corte Suprema, the Supreme Court, okay, court. And a tennis court is where you play tennis. And there are 3 kinds of courts: clay courts, grass courts, and fast courts, pista rápida. Clay que significa arcilla, literalmente, pero tierra batida, decís aquí. Clay courts, Roland Garros in France. The French Open is the most famous torneo. The French Open is the most famous tournament for clay court. Of course, Wimbledon is the most famous for grass court. And then the US Open and the Australian Open are the most famous tournaments for fast courts. And it's very different playing on each surface, the type of surface. Originally, the Spanish player Nadal was expert on clay courts. Then he learned to be better and to improve and to excel. To excel is sobresalir in grass courts. And finally, he became more expert in hard courts. So there are different types of surfaces, okay? But when it rains, especially on grass courts, you quickly need to cover the grass. So you remember if you watch Wimbledon, and in England it rains half the time, okay, the rain starts to fall and quickly they cover the court with a canvas, lona, canvas, como suena, canvas, okay? That's one sport that you have to postpone or cancel to call off the match or the game when it rains. Another sport is baseball. To play baseball, or cricket in England, but to play baseball, you have to hold a bat, and the pitcher has to throw the ball. There are two elementary moments in baseball when the pitcher prepares. He's holding the ball, he prepares, he throws the ball towards the batter, and the batter is waiting to evaluate the speed and the precisión, the accuracy of the pitch, el tiro, the pitch, because he has perhaps 2/10 of a second or 3/10 of a second to make a decision to swing or not to swing and to wait. Okay, it's a very interesting sport, but it requires visual precision that not many people have. Okay, if it's raining, you can't play. First of all, primeramente, en primer lugar, first of all, suena festival, ¿no? Pero se dice muchísimo. First of all, antes que nada, lo primero, first of all, the bat is a dangerous weapon, potentially. It's a potentially dangerous weapon. If you swing the bat, and you swing very fast, because the ball is coming at 160 kilometers per hour. It's very fast. If you swing the bat and it's wet, you can lose control of the bat, and it can fly and hit the pitcher or hit another person. And so it's dangerous to play. Also, the pitcher, when he holds the ball, if it's raining, he can use the wetness of the ball to make the ball do funny things, and that's illegal. If you watch a pitcher in baseball, if he does this before the referee, el árbitro, the umpire will say, no, it's illegal, because they can make the ball do funny things, strange things, okay? So baseball is the second game in which if it's raining, you need to postpone it or call it off, to call off the game for tomorrow. And the third game is golf, playing golf. And it's not because of the grip, when you grip because it's wet. That's one reason, but the most important reason is when it rains, often there's electricity in the air, lightning and thunder. Lightning is relámpagos, rayos. Thunder is trueno. And it's very dangerous because a golf club, a driver, a 7-iron, a putter, all of these palos de golf, all of these golf clubs. Es curioso, un palo de golf decimos golf club. Club. Y un club de golf, a golf club. Es la misma palabra. Palo de golf y club de golf is the same expression. Mis palos de golf están en el club de golf. My golf clubs are at the golf club. Okay? I don't know why, but that's part of English. Okay? The golf clubs are metallic. And they are like pararrayos. And they attract the electricity. So if you're on a golf course playing golf, and there's lightning and thunder, an electric storm is coming, please leave the golf course, because the trees attract the lightning and your golf club attracts the lightning, and it's very, very dangerous. But learning English is not dangerous. Esto no es peligroso, ¿no? No creo. It's not dangerous to learn English, is it? So don't worry about lightning, don't worry about thunder, don't worry about the rain, y a estudiar. It's very simple, and I will continue helping you. Day in and day out, un día tras otro, day after day in, day out, morning and evening, forever if possible. Yes, I'll be back tomorrow or in a few days to continue with Vaughan and Vivo. Thank you.